Wes, this can't be right. Is it Wednesday again already? I've spent so much time with you over the last week. I feel like it's perpetually Wednesday.
It is. Wednesday was Wednesday. Friday was Wednesday. Saturday was Wednesday. Sunday was Wednesday. And it is once again Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, Brian.
Happy WesDay to you too, my friend. I'm excited, man. Like, sometimes I wake up and I don't think there's going to be anything to talk about on GAMESCAST, and that's fine, right? We've got an awesome community, and we answer their questions, and sometimes they put viewer takeover questions in the chat. It's like we got all sorts of stuff to talk about, but it's really nice when you wake up on a day like today, and there's so much to talk about. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a good one. You ready to do this?
Sure. Let's do it.
Yeah, I suppose. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is PSVR GamesCast Live, where we film live every single WesDay, and WesDay right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure. But we also care about your oral pleasure. That's why we put this thing up on podcast services of your choice. Thanks to our good friend RyPop. Lots of people out there helping us out, and we appreciate each and every one of you. My name is Brian from this channel right here without Parole, and this gentleman over here to my left, your right, it's Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers. What's up, Wes?
What's up, Brian? What's up, Game Cats? What's up? What's up? We're back. Still kind of out of it, to be honest. I saw Chrome Colossus in the chat saying I easily have recovered. Nope. Think again, friend. I'm starting to recover, but I'm too old for this shit, Brian. Like I've been, like it takes someone in my condition weeks to recover from what we did this past weekend.
But it sounds like it was a pretty big success. You guys had a good time, 15-hour stream, lots of viewers. Sounds like it was great, right? Everything went well?
Well, I mean, besides the fact that it was a 15-plus hour stream, we literally, we took action. We trimmed down the nominee list for every category. We changed how we discuss the nominees so that we don't take up so much time. And what ended up happening is we just went off on tangents, talking about things. A lot of people in the chat had questions about Flat to VR Studios, and they had Eric, captive for an entire half a day. And I told you last week, Eric likes talking. Remember when I said that? Eric likes to talk.
Yep, and we've got lots of evidence to prove that.
But it was fun, man. It really went well. Honestly, every year as it closes in and the date grows near, I think I'm so screwed. I haven't done enough. Like there's not enough giveaway keys. We haven't put enough time into the games, and every year we pull it together just barely, and it turns out being the best one we've ever done yet. And this year, very much that. We had such great support from the studios this year. Arken Age and like Ryan Payton with the camouflage, and we just have this list of all the top games, Vertigo Games and Fast Travel, and everyone made the giveaway like awesome this year. So it was good, man. I really it couldn't have been any better, unless it was about 5 hours shorter, then it would have been great. But we had fun, and the viewers loved it. The community showed up from the start and then stayed through the end, even though it went till almost 6 a.m. Eastern time. People stuck it out, and it was great.
Uvain in the chat, which is a name I used to see a lot, man. It's really good to see some names popping back up that I hadn't seen in a while. I think not to say this is Uvain's situation specifically, but it does seem like a lot of people who've been waiting to get a PSVR2 are picking up PSVR2s, and they're suddenly back on without Parole. He says, I love Brian's reaction to Eric when talking about Propagation Paradise Hotel. Dude, listen, for people who cover VR for a living, and contribute to making VR games for a living. What's some fucking terrible VR takes? What is I was in shock when they're talking about Ven VR Adventure being this great platformer, or Propagation Paradise Hotel being not good. Like I think I give it a 9.4 9.4 is one. It was one of my
Yeah.
favorite PSVR2 games of recent memory, and he's like, "Yeah, it's not very good." So what?
So
What
a couple
alternate
things.
universe am I living in?
It's a couple things with Eric and propagation.
Yeah,
First of all, his first impression of the game, I think, was the Quest build or maybe Steam. It wasn't the awesome PSVR build that we ended up getting later. Um, that's one. The second thing is that Eric had high hopes based on the original propagation. He thought that this was going to be more like that, and I'm glad that it wasn't. The original propagation was a stationary wave shooter. Like you couldn't move. There was no locomotion. You stayed in one spot. It was free to play on Steam, and you just shot monsters and stuff that ran at you. Now, since you weren't able to move, obviously they were allowed to crank up the visual effects to 1,000, right? Because there's no movement. There's
right.
nothing going on. They have full control of the player and the environment. So they made it really, really beautiful. One of the best looking VR games that you can play. And he was expecting like a whole build out campaign that was kind of on that level. And as great as it was, it really didn't live up to that. And I don't think Eric ever got over it. And when it came out on PlayStation, he had already made up his mind about it. So yeah, I think that's what's up with that.
Yeah, in no disrespect, I love joking with my friends, and despite the fact that I only really hang out with the whole cast of virtual strangers once a year, I do consider them my friends, and I hope they take everything I say in stride.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Good.
And he 100% said that to jab you. Don't get it twisted. Like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, just like UConn's subside, a tech demo. I'm like, okay,
Exactly.
okay. What
Exactly.
how many other traps are set up here for me to fall into during the segment?
Yeah,
But
I
this is
just
why
think,
this is what I love. This is what I love about this community. This is what I love about doing live shows. This is what I love about hanging out with you guys, because I think we all have similar senses of humor, and we can dish it out and we can take it. So always a good time. So thanks again for having me on, Wes. It meant a lot for me to be there, especially talking about PSVR2. I love what you guys are doing. That's why you're here, because I've always loved what you guys are doing over there, and so it means a lot for me. And as always, thank you for being here on this channel.
well, thank you for doing it. You guys are what makes it like special, right? We try to make it a special occasion, and this year I just didn't want to have people on, so I just had you guys on. You and AJ were my guests.
Oh wow.
We invited Miles, obviously, but he's a very busy man these days. He didn't have time to do it. But like I wouldn't have wanted to have anybody if you guys hadn't accepted. It would have just been us. But it's always a blast having you on foreign soil, so to speak, to kind of have to look at things from a different perspective, and I think people find that interesting. And yeah, man, I wouldn't have it any other way. I appreciate you being there, and I appreciate you having me here.
Guys, before we get into the news and everything we want to talk about today, there's a couple of important notices I want to get out there. Mostly, number one, we're not going to talk about No Man's Sky today, except for right now, because there's a No Man's Sky update. However, as many people have pointed me to, it is very buggy, and there are some serious issues. And you could have some Metro Man in the chat on Discord was basically alerting us, saying it's very buggy, and you could possibly lose your entire inventory. And so you may just want to hold off on playing the update until they have issued a patch or a hotfix to fix this stuff. And if you have experienced some of that stuff, I am sorry. And hopefully you found workarounds. There are people talking about it online a lot. And so if you have lost like your save or you lost your inventory or something, anything like that, go check online. People do have some workarounds, but it ultimately results in here's what you do, and then don't play the game anymore until they fix it. So you can avoid No Man's Sky for a little bit until they fix that up. Also, I want to let you guys know that I have officially submitted for PAX East 2025 the application for a panel room, so we can do a live episode of GamesCast Live. I spent a lot of time thinking about this and figuring out what will work, what kind of topics would PAX enjoy. So I've submitted an application for a live episode of GamesCast Live from PAX East itself. So if you're going, just another thing we're trying to do in order to make it special. Last year, we all went to PAX a lot. Last year, we all hung out at the hotel a lot, but there weren't a lot of events. This year, I'm trying to make it a little bit more organized, make it a little bit more fun, make some like GameCast specific events to go to. And so doing a live episode of GamesCast is one of them. And then also, I also applied for a community room, kind of like a meet and greet, like just kind of like Meetup, just for an hour. It gives everybody a place that's at PAX to go hang out and shoot the shit, like these scheduled events. So I will keep you posted on all of that. But man, it was so much fun. If you are considering going to PAX East 2025, remember it is, I believe the second week in May. So you might want to start looking for flights, hotel rooms, getting passes for PAX. It's time to start figuring all that out. We had a good time last year, didn't we, Wes?
We had a blast last year. Like it was incredible, man. Are we still meeting at the same place? Or is Hampton Inn still the going to be GameCat Central this year, or are we moving
I
around?
don't know. I don't know who is getting that hotel. Okay, so I got that hotel. Tiffany got that hotel, right? It's like, so because it was just like, I just needed to get it out of the way. I needed to pull the trigger so that I could start saying, hey, yes, this is something that's going to happen, right? Because if I don't make the first steps, then it's hard for me to take the second step. And so I pulled the trigger on that. And so, yeah, the same hotel we were at last year is the same hotel we'll be at this year. Mostly, Wes, because they were so good to us. They let us take over the lobby every single night. It's like we didn't even need to go to a bar. And you can see this video that's playing right here. We did a live episode of GamesCast from the hotel lobby. This is from the hotel lobby. God damn, this video. This is crazy to me, watching this video.
And we even jacked their conference room so that we could interview BJ, and they were even cool about that. We had people coming from surrounding hotels into the lobby of this hotel to hang out with us all day and all night. No problem, no issues. They just kept restocking the coffee and the hot chocolate, and smiled and were gracious hosts.
Yeah, it is not as cheap as it was last year, sadly, because it is during much nicer weather. And so no one wants to be in Boston in March. So it actually worked out really well last year financially, but this year it's a little bit more expensive. But a very, very good time, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you again there this year, plus hopefully a whole new group of cats. It's going to be a lot of fun. Man, we got some tips. Let's talk tips, Wes. Starting with the Game Cat Andrew Aaron Reich with the $5 tip says, Happy WesDay. Beat Arken. What a fucking game. Gonna kill a couple hundred enemies and I'll have the platinum. 2025 is off to a great start. Couldn't agree more, Andrew Aaron Reich. We're going to be jumping all over the place on this run of show, Wes. So because of Andrew Aaron Reich, let's kick it off with the news that Arken just got a major update today. Dude, the list is long. The list is very, very long in terms of like all the bug fixes and everything that they did to kind of address issues that players found. I'm shocked that players found so many issues because I experienced none. This was about the most polished game I'd ever played since the launch of PSVR2. No bugs, no crashes, no nothing. However, one of the things that I felt was that the game would say, hey, go to the observatory. I don't know what they called the places, right? But they would actually say, hey, go to this place. And I'd be like, where the fuck is that? Like, I'm not familiar with this world. Like, how do I know where to go? And so they actually implemented, as you can see in this video, a map on the tablet you carry around with you with all the objectives and everything else. And so like if you're, more of a modern gamer and you've gotten used to all these accoutrements, it's kind of like taking you by the hand and helping you figure out where to go next and what to do. This is now all optional. You can have this on your tablet, and it kind of takes you by the hand, helps you out a little bit. It's good stuff.
Come and takes you by the hand. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I'm glad it's there, and I'm glad there's a toggle on it. Like,
yeah,
one of the few nitpicks I had about the game is, one of the things I liked was being able to explore and find this stuff, right? I love the world, and it looks a bit confined at first, even though everything's on this massive scale. You don't really fully understand the scale of the levels until you start heading down these corridors and caves and going underground and climbing up the towers. And that's when you understand just how really big the maps are. So I enjoyed the whole exploration aspect, and uh, the way I played it anyway, I was trying to find all the artifacts and everything. So like, I didn't get lost for too long. Like if there was like another mission item or quest item I needed to find or a place to go, I just said, you know what, I don't know where that is, but I'll start looking for these artifacts and I'll stumble on it, and that worked out pretty
Yeah.
much every time. Um, One of the things I didn't like though was some of the more significant things that were hidden, and you can tell they were intended to be hidden. Um, they just drew right on the wall clues to tell you, hey,
Oh
walk
my
around
God.
this
Yeah.
corner, climb up this tower, go through this door. Um, I
Yeah.
thought that was a little too on the nose, man. Like obviously that stuff's supposed to be hidden. Let it be hidden. Um, I imagine probably 3 beta testers had difficulty finding that stuff, and they said, "You know what? Well, let's just make it easy for them and draw it on the wall." Even though the glyphs on the wall look really cool, like the
Yeah.
art looked cool, I really wish that stuff wasn't there. I would have liked to have found that stuff on my own.
I would have liked if they'd done one of two things with that, Wes. And the first is that if it was only there on the easiest mode, right?
Right.
And then just get rid of it for the normal and hardcore modes, or do kind of a Saints and Sinners thing where you have like this blacklight type device. Obviously, it would be some kind of weird
There you
futuristic
go.
fantasy thing. And then like if you're lost, start shining your blacklight device on walls, and it'll start directing you toward things. And you're like, oh, there we go. Okay, I needed help, and I did the work. I put the work in for that help to be delivered, right? So one of those two things, maybe Arken Age 2.
But this is
Um,
fun. This has a toggle on it, and I can imagine for people who aren't completionists that don't want to collect all the stuff, they might not want to take the time to really dissect all these levels and search them all the way out. So I'm fine with this being here. This is pretty cool little tool.
yeah, I had brought up the Reddit post saying, all the additions, but like you can read through this yourself. There's a bunch of really boring things in the bug in the patch update list. So if you've experiencing any problems, then you can just check out the list yourself and see if there's anything there that pertains to you. But this was the big one because there was this map. A simplified version of this map in the objectives was at all the teleporters, but I didn't even realize that because I never used the teleporters. I was playing through the game in a very linear fashion, so I never once teleported until about 2/3 of the way through the game, and I saw the map and I was like, "Oh shit, has this thing been telling me where to go the whole time?" So pretty crazy. I talked to Blake, the founder and designer at Vitruvius, earlier today. Well, I should be very happy to hear that sales on PSVR2 were much higher than expected. So it sounds like the gentlemen over at Vitruvius Games are very happy with the performance, the sales numbers on PSVR2. So
That's
good job,
great.
GameCats, for supporting an awesome developer.
And this kind of goes back to a lot of what Eric was saying on the 2024 show this past weekend. That like the landscape is changing, and a lot of people are going to fail, for lack of a better term. A lot of studios, a lot of developers are going to fail over the next couple of years and have been failing over the last couple of years. But the good ones, the good developers making good games are going to shine. And it's getting to the point now where there's enough good stuff in the catalog that the stuff that cut it 5 years ago just isn't going to cut it anymore. And it's good to have examples like this when you put the time in, when you hold on to a game and really, really polish it and don't release it until it's ready, then you're rewarded. The community shows up, the community buys your game, and even the negative Nancy reviewers are positive because you don't give them anything negative to talk about.
Which brings us to our next story. Fast Travel Games cuts 30 jobs as it braces for a, quote, more uncertain year ahead for VR games. Wes, when we think about VR developers and publishers in the space that shouldn't be struggling, Fast Travel Games is on that list for me. They seem like a studio that kind of had their shit together. They kind of only published, or only developed a certain number of games. For the most part, only put games out when they were ready. And it seemed like they were doing the right thing by publishing a bunch of games too. It seems like this other branch of revenue for them that could support them while they had these like long development cycles. So I was very surprised to see that this article was published. This is from specifically gamesindustry.biz, and this is Vicky Blake, contributor, published on January 28th. Redundancies will impact all area of its business, including publishing, marketing, administration, and studio staff. Fast Travel Games cut 30 jobs, primarily in its publishing, marketing, and administration departments, although, quote, the studio will also be impacted as it consolidates down to one development team. In a statement posted to LinkedIn, the Stockholm studio attributed the cuts to lower sales than expected, calling the redundancies an exceptionally difficult decision that was necessary to ensure a stable and sustained future for the company. Due to lower sales than expected from our 6 games launched in 2024, in combination with more uncertain year ahead for VR games as a whole, we've taken the difficult decision to make 30 employees redundant at FTG. This is an exceptionally difficult decision, but we believe it's necessary to ensure a stable and sustainable future for the company. Our focus is on supporting all fast travelers through this challenging time, the statement concluded. Wes, 6 games?
Yeah.
Like
6.
over the last year? Like we're not even in Ghost Signal wasn't even in the last year, right? Vampire wasn't in the last year.
Vampire was. Ghost Signal was not.
Oh, okay.
I think Vampire was. Maybe it was just on Steam this year. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. I published my Vampire the Masquerade review on November 2nd, 2023. So yeah, maybe just Steam. But that's a lot of games that we didn't see on PSVR2. And if the sales of Arken Age tell us anything, maybe they should have focused on some PSVR2 games, Wes. Sorry, I don't mean to make light of it. You know what I mean? But like, it's like it sounds like maybe some bad decisions were made.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think ignoring PSVR2 was the biggest among those decisions, although it would have probably helped a little bit if they had given us a little bit more attention. But I'm not going to fault them. They historically are a studio that supports PSVR2, and when you bring out 6 games, many of which were published, not developed by them, like, yeah, I get it. You can't bring them all over here. But with that said, this is unfortunate. I do hold them among, the highest, the top studios in VR. Like they're cream of the crop as far as I'm concerned, and they're letting go of a lot of talented people, I'm sure. If I had to speculate, like what could they have done differently here? I think they were maybe a little bit ambitious with the lineup of titles that they did do. Like when you look at the titles that they put out, like Mannequin, they did Action Hero, they've done
they published Into the Radius on PSVR too.
I think that was one that they're probably not regretting.
Right.
They've done well with that one. Anyway, a bunch of concepts for games that are way outside the box, which we typically celebrate when we get games that are outside the box, that are very unique, right? And like nothing else on the store. And I'd say that most of the titles that they published last year fit that description. At the same time, I don't know if any of them have a wide mass appeal, which was what you need if you're going to actually sell copies of your game. It's good to have a cool concept, but if you're going to do something that's so outside the box, you have to really do extra on the marketing side to sell people on the idea and bring them in. And it's not easy. That's very difficult to do. The other thing I might question is maybe they would have done better with 3 than 6. Like marketing is a big part of it. Like I said, especially when you're uh, releasing these niche games, like for example, Ghost Signal, which might not have been a 2024 game, but is a good example of what I'm talking about. It's very different from anything in the catalog. It's a niche audience, right? So
Mhm.
like if you're going to try to sell something like that has a limited appeal, you got to put a little bit more into marketing and trying to get um, people who typically wouldn't play that type of game to give it a look and try. And when you're doing literally a game every other month, how focused can you really be on marketing any one of them, right? Your attention's so spread out over all of this. So maybe this is them realizing this, realigning, shrinking it back down and saying, "Hey, less is more here. Like
Yeah.
let's go back to the way it was before. Let's do fewer titles, but put out stuff that is really high quality." And I tell you right now, now that Arken Age is out, I can't think of anything that I'm more excited about than the Midnight Walk, which is going to be published by Fast Travel Games. So it's tough decisions, and I feel really bad for them, especially again, given the high esteem that I hold them in. But I'm confident that they're not doing this lightly, and they're just doing what's necessary to ensure that their studio remains open until VR makes it to where we all know it's going to go.
Kind of off topic, but this is the perfect time to talk about it. On Discord today, I put up a daily poll every single day on Discord. Make sure you come join us on Discord. Click the link in the description below. Today's daily poll was: now that Alien, Metro, Behemoth, Subside, and Arcanage are out, what game are you looking forward to the most? Now, oops. Hey, come on now. Come on. There's not enough memory on my computer to run a tip window. We're in big trouble. I gotta figure some shit out over here. You ready for this? Are you ready to listen to these titles and pick one, Wes? Which one you're
Yeah,
most
yeah.
excited for? All right, here we
I
go.
think I
Hitman
just
World.
did, but let's do it.
Oh, exactly. That's why I brought it up. Hitman World of Assassination, Wanderer, Fragments of Fate, Aces of Thunder, Five Nights at Freddy's, Secret of the Mimic, The Midnight Walk, Flat Out VR, Zombie Army VR, Ghosts of Tabor, Firmament, Ghost Town. Talk to me. Which one? Which one is it?
It's easily Midnight Walk out of that list.
Yep.
If I had to pick a second place, it would probably be Hitman. Actually, um, I'm excited for that, and I know that this would be strike four for Hitman VR to
Oh
really
my
give us
god.
the true Hitman VR that we all want. But man, even the half baked Hitman that we got was so great. I can only imagine how a true next gen version that's fully VRAF is going to be. So
Yep.
I'm really excited for Hitman. But Midnight Walk, again, a very different and unique concept for what might be a niche audience. But this is the type of thing that I think is so cool that they might actually draw a crowd because this looks phenomenal.
Well, you'll be happy to know that a lot of the cats on Discord agree with us. Ace Gamer Cat says, "Do another poll right here." No, go over to Discord and and contribute. We still have like, I don't know, like 20 more hours left on this poll, so get your vote in. Most people agree with us, man. Number one was actually, if I'm reading this correctly, Wanderer: The Fragments of Fate. But then in second place was The Midnight Walk, and third place was Hitman: World of Assassination. Nothing else was even close. So a lot, dude, but a lot of good games coming our way this year. And like you said, I really do hope that Fast Travel took a look at their success with Into the Radius and said, yeah, these are the kind of games we should be publishing. Like, we should be helping to get these kind of games over to PSVR2 or onto other platforms where they don't exist, and this is where we're going to make some serious money. I respect any developer that wants to, or any publisher that wants to help indies out and like get these small niche titles to maybe garner more exposure with them, but it's a tough place to be right now. You're talking about a small audience, and then talking about games that have even a smaller audience that are interested in them. And so, yeah, you got to kind of make the right decisions right now. And sometimes the right decisions aren't the fun decisions or the most interesting decisions. They're the ones that are going to ensure that your company survives.
Hey, I have an idea. How about Apex Construct 2?
Bro,
How
how
about
about
we take
Apex
that?
Construct 1?
There
Can
you
we
go.
start there, please?
But
But
they
yeah,
could that they've got a story there that they could build on and expand greatly from. They've got a basic gameplay loop there that they can really build on and expand out and put some new progression and things like that in. And they could do something similar to kind of like what Vertigo did with Arizona Sunshine. You know, they had their sequel, they built out their engine and made it kind of next level, and then they kind of retrofitted that back onto the original. Um, I think that that's something that could work out well for fast travel games if they ever decided to take it on.
Yeah, dude, I would love to see a Apex Construct remake, just like you said, with that, like just the Arizona Sunshine remake, just like that. And then yeah, give us another big adventure with that revised engine. And honestly, man, like I don't know. I would love to find out how many people out there bought Ghost Signal on PSVR2. Like it's I have no interest in RTS games. None. To the point where like I didn't even properly know what an RTS game was, right? I was like, oh, this isn't RTS. You're just clicking around and you're blah 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 blah. And people are like, yeah, that's a fucking RTS, Brian. And I was like, oh, I'm a moron. And then I ended up falling in love with it, and I gave it a 9 out of 10. And like, it's all I played for weeks. And then other people had the exact same experience with Ghost Signal. So I mean, I'd love to know if you guys have you played it. And you know what? Fuck it. Ace Gamer Cat wanted a poll. We're gonna give you a poll. Start a poll.
Here's the thing, though, man. That
you buy?
I'll let you go ahead and type so I don't mess you up.
No, go ahead. I'm listening. Why?
Here's the thing, man. This is exactly what I'm talking about. That game, Ghost Signal, is an excellent game. Not the easiest type of game to sell. Now, if you're a flat gaming studio where there's like literally tens of millions, 100 million gamers out there, it's okay if you just capture that little bit of the market. You can sell a couple of million and do all right. But in VR, if you're doing these RTS games, or if you're going to do a fencing game, like what with Broken Sword, or if you're going to do a blacksmithing game like the one they put out last year, or the band space, or what have you, catching just a small part of the VR market is not enough. Like you really have to capture a good portion of the gamers to be able to fuel a studio the size of what they've had. Like they had a fairly sizable crew there, obviously. So not that it's huge or not or anything, but once you get up past 60, 70, 80 people at your company, that's pretty big for a VR company. So yeah, unfortunate, but they might not want to do it, but maybe it's time to do a roguelike zombie shooter with with some extraction. Yeah, roguelike zombie extraction shooter, and then pick and choose when you want to do these super niche concepts like they've been doing.
Matt Vegan with the $2 tip says Platinum Ghost Signal last week. Demo convinced me. Amazing. I still haven't platinumed it. I played the fuck out of it though. I still have a lot more game to get out of that. Slapping that ass with the $10 tip says, not to be a negative Nancy, but here we go, Wes. Rope, strap in. Says, but seeing fast travel axe people really just adds to the pile, making me worry even more if VR is going to be around for the long haul. I don't. Oh man, I think VR has sort of always struggled. Right, I think we look back with very fond memories on the PSVR 1 era or the Quest 2 era, and we dealt with the same issues then as we're dealing with now, right? I just feel like things are getting better now, and it's hard to kind of see the progression and how things are actually getting better when you're so entrenched in the VR space every single day, right? It's hard to see the changes and hard to see the progression and hard to see that things are actually indeed getting better, because we're still in the midst of the PSVR2 era. In 5 years, we're going to look back at this and go, yeah, that was pretty fucking good. We had no idea how good we had it. But it's always going to be this rocky road until it really, really, really takes off. And then even when it really, really, really takes off, like flat screen gaming did forever ago, you're still going to see announcements like this, as we've seen across the board for the last couple of years. Nonstop, if you're ever on Twitter, you constantly see these JPEG images of, we're really sorry that we had to cut all of these people in our company. Those are flat screen studios. It's happening across the board. So as Radboy says in the chat, VR is not going anywhere. It's just we are having some severe growing pains, and those growing pains I've been there since day one. It's just gonna take a while.
Yeah, I agree. I quit worrying about this a long time ago. VR is not going to fail as a technology. Um, it's here, and we've made enough noise and enough of a place for ourselves here that the space will persist. Not everyone that's in it is going to make it to the end. Obviously, this is a lesson that a lot of new businesses end up having to learn the hard way. Is that you have to lose a lot of money before you start making money, and that's going to be the case here. But we have some very powerful people and some very wealthy people with resources behind us, and again, we haven't fully crossed over into the mainstream, but we've entrenched ourselves enough now to where we have mainstream awareness. People know about VR. Like, that wasn't the case when we started doing this. Like, back then it was all about getting the word out and letting people know that this
Right.
thing that used to be science fiction is here. People know that now, and children, young people, they're using it, man. They're not buying games, they're playing free to play games, but they're using it. And when they get older and they grow out of Gorilla Tag and they start working and they have money, and the technology gets smaller and it gets better, like it, people are going to jump on this thing pretty hardcore. And we all kind of understand that, and we understand it's a long road and we're not halfway there yet, but we will get there. And I don't think anybody who kind of really recognizes what's going on with the industry, most of us anyway, don't have much doubt about that.
Uh, so I'm kind of sitting here and I'm swapping trailers just about, amongst all these different fast travel games that have come out over the last few years. And I just clicked on Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife, which you and I had drastically different opinions about, Wes. Um, and it kind of made me think like where are these games? Like fast travel games is, they're publishing games, which is a revenue stream. They're developing games and publishing those, which is a revenue stream. But like getting their old games out onto new platforms is another whole revenue stream. We've seen developers. I think we're all kind of past the point of like, oh, if you're bringing your PSVR1 game to PSVR2, it better be free. There better be a free upgrade. Listen, we're past that point. I think. I think we're all well aware that like a lot of these developers are struggling, as fast travel games clearly is. And if they decide to bring their game out, like, you want to make it a $10 upgrade, you want to make it full price. It's like I think there's a level of understanding here now that like I certainly didn't have years ago when we first started having these conversations. And so that's a third revenue stream that I'm like kind of confused as to why they're not with Wraith. It could be a licensing thing, but there were plenty of other games like Apex Construct. It's like, why aren't they doing this? But this is also a conversation you and I had about the Binary Mill last week, Les. Like wondering where their games are at, and it seems like they're kind of on board, right? One of the cats emailed the Binary Mill asking about crap. What's the Spider-Man one?
Resist.
Resist. They asked about Resist, and the response that the Binary Mill gave said it makes it sound like they're considering or actually porting Resist to PSVR2. So maybe some of these developers just taking a little bit longer than others to get on board on the PSVR2 train.
I think it's just now the word's starting to get out that that I think Meta kind of cannibalized their own store last year when they opened up App Lab and made all of those titles flood in. They made it a more difficult market for the good titles to be discovered in. And we've seen over the course of the last 6 to 9 months, time and time again, these studios coming out and saying, hey, we're doing better on PlayStation, relatively speaking, than we thought we would do. And that only means good things in terms of getting these games ported over.
Grandpa's Barbecuer Game Cat with the Australian $5 tip says, Wes, did Eric run back from England because of Miles' stand-up comedy routine?
Probably. He probably got the practice version at the bar. But yeah, I don't know. He didn't mention anything to me about it, but I'd say that's a pretty safe bet. I know what type of jokes Miles tells, and they're not very punny.
Did Miles do a stand-up comedy routine? Like he's not being facetious? Like, is this a real thing?
It was a real headline on on his channel last week. He
Oh,
says I'm
damn.
trying stand up. I don't know what that means, but if it means what it said it means, then yes.
Wow. Well, I got to look into that. I've not, Miles and I haven't talked for like, I sent him like one DM. He sent me one DM back in the last like week or two, or two, maybe it's been like 3 weeks since I've done a proper Gamescast with Miles, I think. And that's usually our chance to get caught up. Interesting. Well, looking forward to hearing more about that. In the meantime, we got a couple awesome news stories today, and we're going to kick it off with Battlemarked, a new game from Resolution Games, Wes. This is in the style of Demeo, but with the Dungeons and Dragons license. Was this, correct me if I'm wrong, was this rumored for a while, or did they tease this, or why did this not come as a surprise to me?
Because they announced that they were doing a Dungeons and Dragons game. They didn't
Okay.
announce it as a crossover with Demeo. I imagine that they were probably still negotiating at that point, trying to secure the rights to tie their franchise that they own to Dungeons and Dragons. But they announced the collaboration with Dungeons and Dragons and that they were working on an official D&D game some time ago. It wasn't until now that we realized what this game is going to be, and it's essentially looking like, again, this isn't a gameplay trailer or anything, but this looks like very much like it could just be a Demeo sequel with D&D characters in it, which I'm fine with. Demeo's excellent.
And for all the details, we're going to head on over to Upload VR, where our friend and person I've never talked to in my entire life, but we're going to call him a friend anyway.
He's my friend. He's my
with
friend.
Wes, we're going to head on over to Upload VR with Wes's friend, Henry Stockdale. I'm so glad. Tell him I said what's up. The headline reads, Demeo Cross Dungeons and Dragons Battlemarked is Resolution's official D&D VR game. Demeo, following its work on hit co-op RPG Demeo and its more recent PvP-focused spin-off Demeo Battles, Resolution has officially unveiled its upcoming Dungeons & Dragons crossover with Wizards of the Coast. First announced last year as an untitled project. Thank goodness. 'Cause I didn't know if I was psychic, and I guess I'm not. We've yet to see any gameplay footage for Battlemarked, but you can watch the announcement trailer below. That's what's playing behind this article. Detailed in a press release, this collaboration promises to summon both battle-hardened veterans and eager newcomers to embark on adventures steeped in the world and lore of D&D. It uses Demeo's gameplay system as the base, and you can play with friends via cross-platform co-op multiplayer. However, Battlemarked doesn't use a dungeon master to run campaigns like D&D requires. In a prepared statement, Tommy Palm, founder and CEO of Resolution Games, elaborated further. He advised that Battlemarked is, quote, adapting the classes, actions, and lore of D&D to this system for all new adventures in a whole new experience built from the ground up with D&D in mind. At launch, Demeo Cross Dungeons and Dragons Battlemarked. Is this really the full title? It's not just called Battlemarked, it's called, or even D&D Battlemarked. It's Demeo Cross Dungeons and Dragons Battlemarked. Holy Propagation Paradise Hotel, Batman. This is a long title. Will include 2 narrative-driven campaigns, and further DLC campaigns are planned with different D&D settings. It's currently unknown if these additional campaigns will be paid DLC editions or free updates, and we previously saw the latter, which is paid DLC, with Demeo post-launch. Battlemarked is coming to multiple platforms across PC, console, and XR devices. Specific headsets and release window remain unconfirmed, and the official website is now live. Wes, this all seems like very good news. However, the one thing I will say is that, okay, first of all, it's obviously coming to PSVR2. I mean, obviously, right? Like all their other games have, or most of their other games have, especially Demeo and Demeo Battles have. You think we're going to get this day and date on PSVR2?
Day and date? I don't know about that. I could see this. I could see this hitting Quest first, and then Steam and PSVR later. But I do believe that we will get it, of course.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you're right. I think maybe we'll get the Quest one first, and make their way around. This is interesting, Wes, because one of the complaints I heard from people wasn't so much about Demeo, the game, was that the complaints were more in line of stop comparing Demeo to D&D. This is not D&D. It's not how D&D is played. Stop comparing it to D&D. Mostly people complaining about my review because people like to complain about everything I say. And that's fine.
You can tell them to suck it because it is D&D and Demeo.
Well, but again, it's like it's D&D, but a revised version of D&D, right? Like this is not the equivalent of a bunch of people sitting around playing D&D together. This is kind of like a lot of other D&D games of the past, using the lore, using the monsters, using things that people are familiar with, but not actually playing out like a D&D game would. I'm I like literally never played a Dungeons and Dragons game in my life, and I don't say that happily. It's the kind of thing that I kind of wish that I'd gotten into when I was younger, and because it seems like something I would really enjoy.
Yeah, I haven't played it either, so don't feel bad.
Okay, well then I don't feel bad, and also just keep that in mind. People are like, for all you D&D fans out there, be like, yeah, this is still gonna be Demeo. It sounds like, just with a D&D skin on it. Right? Is that what you're getting out of this?
I think it'll be a little more than that. I don't think it'll just be a reskin of Demeo. I do think that they'll rework some fundamental mechanics and systems with the game to make it more in line with what D&D players might expect and like. But essentially, it is Demeo. I think it'll be more Demeo than D&D, honestly, and I think that's a good thing. I don't necessarily think that a hardcore D&D game in VR would necessarily translate, and that would be something that a lot of people would enjoy. I mean, I'm sure the D&D people would enjoy it, but I don't. I mean, people can play D&D now. They don't have to put on a headset for that. Like the headset allows you to do things that you can't do with your decks and your tables and your boards and stuff. So, yeah, I think it'll be good, and I think people will like it.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's anybody out there who hasn't played Demeo yet, oh my god. Like it goes on sale a lot. Make sure you pick it up. It's just, even if you don't think it's your kind of game, just like Go Signal, I didn't think was my kind of game, and it turned out to be one. Demeo didn't seem like my kind of game, but that and Table of Tales proved me wrong. Really, really good games in that genre. Dude, Flippy Nuggets in the chat talking about the No Man's Sky update. If you missed the beginning of the show, Flippy Nuggets, beware. You might not want to play the No Man's Sky update until it's been patched because people are losing their inventory. People are experiencing major bugs. Just getting the warning out there. I'm glad you're excited about it, but we don't want you suffering any major losses because of it. Magic the Game Cat with the €5 in the chat says 1 playthrough away from Madison Platinum. The next one might be Vampire the Masquerade. Right, Wes?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Sounds good. Vampire's good. It's underappreciated, I think. I think it's better than the attention it gets. Like people don't talk about it much anymore. It's like it's been forgotten, but it's a high quality game. It's a lot of fun. It has some unique stuff in it that you don't really see in a lot of other games, and I think more people should check it out.
I really like the leveling system. The progression system I thought was great. All the different, usually so frequently in some of these VR games, the progression system is like whatever. You'll level up something or get a new ability and just never use it or never feel the need. And I felt the opposite about Vampire the Masquerade Justice. It was just like every single new ability I got, I was like, this is so exciting. Like, I'm so excited.
Well, it had some really cool stuff that you could do after you unlocked it in that game, man. Yeah. Opening up portals and demons dragging people to hell. I mean, it was pretty awesome.
I got to go back to the live chat here and see. We're going to end the poll. 61% of you didn't buy Ghost Signal? What? Oh, my God.
That's what I'm talking about, Brian. I'm surprised that it wasn't more than that. Like, people don't want to play RTS, man, even though it's good. It's good, but the only reason you know it's good is because you're a game reviewer and you played it. Like,
yep.
If you were just some gamer and that had come out, you wouldn't have went and bought that game, right?
Nope.
I wouldn't have.
100%. Nope. That is the benefit of doing this, is that I have to play a lot of games that I don't fucking want to play, but quite a few of them turn out to be way fucking better than you'd expect. So, yeah. It's true. Yep. Who's talking about Table of Tales in the chat? Rad Boy says Table of Tales was so good. I really like Brian's review. I think we did. So we did an awesome episode of Why We Love. I think that might be what you're thinking of. But I somehow never got a review done. That was one that I scripted, voiced, began the editing process, and then never finished. It's like literally sitting on an old hard drive. It was 3 editing hours away from being complete, and then it just, oh man. And the fact that is it 10 Minions was the developer of that? The fact that they just the sales weren't there for them to warrant making another game. I was like, it's all my fault. It's all on me. The 700 people that would have watched my review might have bought it.
It's never too late, bro. You can always cover those old games anytime you want.
That's true. That's true. And it would be really funny, I think, to just put out an old review in my old review format with the old music and the old intro and everything, and just be like, yeah, it's lost media. I saved it. Oh man. All right. We got one more news story that we got to talk about. And dude, I am maybe way more excited for this than I should be, but sometimes we hear about games coming to PSVR 2S and then we just, they're kind of always looming on the horizon, Undead Citadel, and we're just like, when the fuck is this thing coming out? It's like I feel like we've been talking about it longer than anything else. And then every so often, a game like Firmament, the developers over at Cyan Worlds, give you a little insight. And they go, hey, we're planning on getting this thing out on PSVR 2 at the end of March. And that's only 2 months away, Wes. It's only 2 months away. How exciting is that?
I think it's pretty exciting. Yeah, especially if you're one of these puzzle adventure people, and there are some hardcore puzzle adventure people in the VR space. It's not like RTS. Like there are some puzzle gamers out there, and I guess they're getting tired of probably getting tired by now of playing the Room VR and the Seventh Guest over and over and over and over again. So they'll probably really dig Firmament. It's a solid game, man. They should be excited for it.
Well, this news comes to us from their Patreon page. It's wow, what a mess this looks like on this window. Interesting. That's not. Hold on a second. There we go. Let's look through their Patreon update. It's not Patreon. Kickstarter. Is this Kickstarter? This is Kickstarter. We're gonna go with Kickstarter. Good, great. I can't fucking read it. It's time for another PlayStation Firmament update. Firmament is getting closer and closer to being ready for its launch on PS4, PS5, and PSVR 2. Probably smart. Yeah, right. Probably smart to avoid PSVR 1 this time around, as we all saw our abduction go down. Before we get into the details of how our porting efforts are going, we're excited to share for the first time ever screenshots taken of Firmament running on PlayStation. These screenshots were taken on PlayStation 5 and are what we hope will be representative of the game will look like at release on this device. Granted, things are still a work in progress at this time. The screenshots look really nice, Wes. They look much more like an artist's vision. Usually there's concept artwork when a game's in development. That's sort of what these screenshots look like. They look way too nice to be real screenshots. So very happy that this game is looking good.
This is what the game looks like on PC, with the exception of some aliasing and shimmer. But this is what the game looks like. It's pretty legit.
The concern, I think, Wes, is that I was talking to a good friend Izzard in voice chat before the beginning of the show, and he was just like, I just have a bad feeling it's going to be reprojected to hell. And it's like, you could have beautiful worlds like this that are ruined by some heavy reprojection. And so really, really hoping that Cyan Worlds is, got their finger on the pulse and are paying attention to what PlayStation VR 2 gamers are looking for.
Well, I'm pretty sure that that I read somewhere that the reason why this has taken so long is that they have completely moved this into a new version of the game engine so that they can do this properly. And I'm hoping that we're going to see something here like what we saw with Hellsweeper, who did something similar and took a long time and moved over to a completely different rendering pipeline in Unity, and that made them able to use the dynamic foveated rendering. Let them they learned a lot of optimization tricks in the process that not only benefited the the version that came to PlayStation, but it benefited the version on Quest and on PC as well, and all the versions got upgraded from it. I'm hoping that's what we see here. Not that it's bad on PC by any means. It looks good, but there's certainly room for improvement, and these screenshots look gorgeous. So, I can live with some reprojection. I just hope that it's not like Horizon reprojection, where it's like super, super immersion breaking. I
Yeah.
opted when we were playing Arken Age. I opted for the detail, the quality mode that had reprojection in it because it wasn't that bad. Like I
Agreed.
thought the upgrade in visual detail was more noticeable than the reprojection was, so I went that way. So I'm not going to just cast it out of hand if they go that route. If they deliver environments that look like these environments in this screenshot here.
Yeah, I did the fidelity mode for a while in Arken Age. I played an entire segment of sat down and played for 2 hours, 3 hours in that mode. Man, just love the 90 FPS mode though. I love silky smooth frame rates like that. The rest of this Kickstarter update actually addresses some of the things you mentioned, Wes. So I definitely want to get to it. In our last update, we mentioned that we still needed to make sure the PlayStation SDK we have in our version of Unreal Engine were updated, and that we have a few remaining issues to solve. We're happy to report we've successfully upgraded the PlayStation SDK used in Firmament Engine, tuned the game fixes and settings for necessary performance enhancements and requirements for each console, fixed a variety of unique gameplay bugs that have come up from running Firmament on a console for the first time, and more. Some of you may have noticed that we released another patch to the Windows and Mac versions of Firmament on Steam, GOG, and Mac App Store last week, patch 2.06. Many of the fixes made in that patch were discovered while testing the PlayStation version of the game, and therefore benefit from the PlayStation version as well. Our internal testing team is able to get through Firmament on PS4, PS5, and PSVR2 on PS5 for the most part. We still have a few remaining issues to solve related to PSVR2 for performance and bugs in certain areas. Adding some Sony required features for PlayStation support in general, adding and translating new controller diagrams, fixing some crashes on the base PS4 kit, which is our most memory limited platform of all the PlayStation platforms we have to target, and optimizing some other memory limited configurations of the game. At this rate, we hope to enter certification for Firmament on PlayStation in March, which will hopefully lead us to a PlayStation release near the end of March. This still puts us within our current Q1 estimate, but it is possible, and let's be honest, extremely fucking likely that this isn't going to happen. No, it's like they're basically banking on on passing Sony's certification process on their first run, and we'll see if that's happened. But they say the date may slip a bit more into Q2, but it doesn't seem like it seems like if we're looking at the end of March, it doesn't sound like it's going to be much later than that. Beginning of April, end of April, something like that. Game development's always full of unexpected issues that crop up, which take time to solve, and the certification process with Sony may yield more issues to tackle, especially since certification will be covering both the VR and non-VR version of the game. Here's a couple more screenshots. They look absolutely beautiful. We will update you again once we have a better idea of how the certification process goes. We should have a much better idea of the exact release window at that point. You'll be the first to know of that information once we have it. It's a big game. Wes, did you? I know you probably told me this. I probably asked you this 100 times. Did you complete this game? Did you just do some first impressions? Like, where are you at in this?
No, I did some first impressions. I mean, I played a significant amount of it. I played probably 5 hours or so, maybe 6 hours. Like, I made it a good ways through like the first biome or realm or whatever you want to call it. But I think I stopped just short of going into the next one and never went back to it. So I played a fair amount of it. But no, I didn't come anywhere near finishing
Pietrek F with the 12 plantains asks you a question. Thank goodness, because I don't feel like answering anymore. He says, Wes, why Firmament for PSVR2 and not the better Riven VR?
Well, I think, simply put, well, I think a couple of reasons actually. I think the main reason is because they promised Firmament. They told us they were bringing Firmament to PSVR
Yeah.
years and years ago, so they want to deliver on that promise. I think that's a big reason. I think another reason is Riven and Mist. That whole line of games has such a massive, passionate fan base. I think that um, I think we would be dealing with a lot less patience if we were waiting on that game. I think people would be tearing into shreds right now if they'd been waiting another year or whatever to get the announced Riven that's coming to PlayStation VR2. I think we very well could end up getting Riven on PSVR2 one day. I think a lot of that will likely be determined on the success of Firmament on PSVR2. So if you want
Good
Riven,
point.
you should buy Firmament when it launches, assuming that it's not broken, which I don't expect it to be, but we saw how Abduction was when it launched, so you know it could be.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely want Mist on PSVR2. I want Riven on PSVR2.
On Abduction, I think Abduction is my favorite out of all of these games, honestly.
Man, I want Abduction on PSVR2 as well, but like I've got such
Yeah.
bad memories associated with that because it was just blurry and man, teleportation only and load screens every 3 or 4 steps, every 3 or 4 teleport clicks. Man, it was frustrating. But yeah, I would love a proper version of Abduction. What I learned about Cyan Worlds, Wes, is that they're a much smaller studio than I expected. They've been around forever, right? But they still operate sort of very independently. They still function with a very low number of employees, and I don't know the exact number, but I'm thinking is it somewhere like around 30? I don't know if you have any insight on this. I'm just throwing it out there, but it's shocking for a studio that's been around this long. They've sort of been like just operating at this like low level consistently, right? And I think that's a problem a lot of studios or a mistake a lot of studios make. They go, "Oh, our last game sold 10 times the amount as the previous game, so we're going to expand the studio. We're going to build and build and build." And these guys are sort of like just feel like they're a very even-keeled studio
Yeah.
and don't have these like massive growth spurts and then have to lay off 30 people, when something bad happens,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. This is the mistake everyone makes is they think, all right, we've done well. We've had some success with this one title. And instead of banking on that, we have to grow. We have to scale. Everything has to scale. Um, you can't scale faster than the market scales.
Right.
Scaling is great, but you have to scale with the market. You can't scale faster than it. And so many of these new companies are worried about getting left behind and not being at the forefront that they make these mistakes and they scale too fast and then they end up having to pull back after they taste failure. And Scion is not one of those. They started very, very small and they have grown, but they're still a modestly sized studio compared to what the norm is by today, and especially the norm for a studio that puts out titles the quality that they put out. They put out high quality stuff. I mean, these guys are the godfathers of puzzle adventures. Like Myst is the kind of inspiration for everything that we're playing today. Um, so yeah, you're right. They're kind of doing it right over there. And if you have any, you know, question about whether or not this is a big studio or not, I mean, we were just reading their update from their crowdfunding page. You know what I mean? Like they
Yep.
made this game because people paid for it before they even started developing it.
Yeah, which I think answers Piotr F's question. He said, "Why Firmament and not Riven?" Is because they can probably only handle like one project at a time. That I think that's the answer. So yeah, like what you said, Wes, we could very well see Mist, and we could very well see Riven on PSVR 2, but just like years from now, like when it's appropriate for them to do so, when they have the time, when they're not working on their next big game. So patience, I guess, is what you need when dealing with the studio. And again, I think it's a studio that deserves all the patience you can afford them, right? Because they've proven time and time again they make good games. with the exception of the abduction port on
I, th- I
PSVR.
think Magic the Game Cat put a line in the chat here that I think pretty much sums it up. The challenges for indie VR game devs these days. Magic the Game Cat says, "Do we really need more games? The backlog is real," and it is, and that's true, and that's why you can't just bring, highway traffic simulator VR driving game to PlayStation VR2 and expect to keep your company alive, because that shit just doesn't cut it anymore. You've got to have something good to get people's attention these days.
Yep. Speaking of something good, we got a couple of comments here in the live chat that I want to address. Sometimes we get so busy reading tips that we don't have time to read comments from people not tipping. But I want to make sure that everyone feels included and recognized for their awesomeness. Like Scott, the PSVR GameCat for Life, says, "I want the 11th hour, please." I would love that. The 7th Guest was such a great remake, and I believe it's on sale right now. 7th Guest was really, really good on PSVR2. So the 11th hour, I would love, because I've never played that. I know none of the puzzles. I'm so not familiar with that. I think I was completely out of PC gaming at that point. I don't even know the premise of the 11th hour, other than it's a sequel to the 7th Guest.
Same here. And I thought the 7th Guest was great. I need to finish it. I didn't finish it. I thought it was even better than The Room, which I've finished multiple times. But I didn't finish the 7th Guest. You know how it is. I got on to the next one and never went back to that one. But it's great. And Vertigo did a great job with it.
Yep. Absolutely agree. Would definitely, oh my God. Just, somebody else should run this show, because all I do is screw things up. Here, turn that off and turn that off. There we go. I also saw somebody mention Subside. Aaron Quinn said, "What? Subside? That one just came out. It looks awesome, and I haven't read a lot of people stating that it makes you barf." In my review, I pointed out an option, swim turn, maybe it is, that like when you do this in the water, like that's an option you can have on to make you turn. But if you turn swim turn off, that just makes you strafe, which is honestly feels way better. I don't get motion sickness a lot, so I didn't have any issues with motion sickness in Subside. But the swim turn, when I turned that off, I was like, oh, this is way more comfortable. I think people are gonna appreciate this option much more. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I've heard from both sides of the fence on this one. It's people who don't get motion sickness, who got motion sick in Subside, and plenty of people just like me who just don't get motion sick and didn't get motion sick in Subside. Did you have any problems, Wes?
Not really. I want to say maybe I got a little headache when I was in there once or twice, but no, I didn't feel severely uncomfortable in it or at all.
Yeah. Twitcher was saying it was making him sick, but then he followed up, said, "For full disclosure, Subside doesn't actually make me sick, just makes me feel a bit off," which I thought was sort of just like your regular state of mind, Twitcher. Twitcher's just a bit off all the time, so I don't see what the difference is here. But very curious to hear if Subside made more people sick than I thought, because I really haven't heard it from that many people. Most people are just getting in there and really enjoying it, and with the exception of a few people who call it a tech demo, and we just smile and nod at them and go, they'll get their due. Their day will come. Wes. All right, dude, let's do a little 4-minute challenge. You ready for this? You're the one hosting it, so you have to be ready.
I am ready.
Awesome. You guys know how this works. I only got 4 minutes and an infinite number of yes or no questions to figure out what PSVR 1 or PSVR 2 game Wes is thinking of, but I need your help. Basically, if you guys don't figure it out in the chat, then I definitely don't figure it out here. That's kind of how it works. Every so often, I go rogue and don't pay attention to you guys, but I feel like I really need your help today. So suggest good questions for me to ask in the chat, and then good game suggestions based on the answers we get. Let me put 4 minutes up on the clock up on the counter the way that Jeremy likes it, and let's do it. On your mark. Get Des. Oh, good. Looper's here. Go. Is this on PSVR 1?
No.
Okay. Is it on other platforms other than PSVR 2?
Yes.
Okay. Not exclusive. Okay, is it a first-person game?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it have any third-person elements? Only because of your reaction. Oh, he's AJing the
Not
fuck out of
really.
this already.
Not really. I think maybe for a few seconds, but I would say no.
Okay. Mark Poppin' Pringles says, has this game been mentioned in the stream tonight?
Yes.
Whoa, that narrows it down to I can't remember anything we talked about tonight. Great. Okay. Does this game make any people sick?
It could. It could make people sick. That's a bit of a question you should toss out though, but because anything could. But yeah,
Anything
I
could,
could see
yeah.
people getting sick in this.
Okay,
for sure.
okay. Was it published or developed by Fast Travel Games?
No, it was not.
Okay, that's a big one. That eliminates half of what we talked about tonight. Is it published or developed by Cyan Worlds?
No.
Okay. Is it Serial Killer? What's up, Serial Killer? Asking if it's a top 25 game, or at least in contention for a top 25 debate.
I would say yes.
Yes. Okay. Is it made by Resolution Games?
No.
Okay, not Resolution. Top 25. Just taking some notes here. Okay. Did we talk about Horizon? I don't even remember mentioning Horizon. Also, it's not an exclusive, so it can't be. Are you mostly shooting things in this game? Bang, bang, bang with guns?
No guns in this game. Well, no guns in this game.
Well, are there? Was it made by IO Interactive?
No.
Thanks, God. Was it made by Vitruvius?
No.
Okay. Is it a horror game?
Yes.
Ooh, good call, Rad Boy. Was this originally a flat screen game that was made into VR?
Yeah.
Wes, is this Madison VR?
This game is Madison VR. Good job, Brad Boy. Good job, Brian.
Ooh, hell yeah. That's called fucking teamwork, guys. Thank you so much for all the help. I needed it. Yeah. Good one. I don't want to play. Like who was saying it earlier in the tips, saying was it Andrew Ehrenreich or who was it that said they had to one more round, one more. There it was Magic saying they got one more run to get to Madison Platinum. I don't know if I can fucking handle that. I've played through it twice now. For once for review and then once for our spoiler cast. And dude, I think it just took so much out of me. Like, I need a week off to play this game because I honestly think I need to play it in way smaller doses than I played it before. I don't know if I'm ever gonna get the platinum.
Looper wants to know when it was mentioned today. It was in a comment, and I thought I was being slick by picking a game that was in a comment.
Yeah, right here, Magic's tip right here.
Yeah. So I only played it once, but Mickey at Perp Games just sent me the key for the Quest version.
Yeah, same. So, have you checked it out yet?
Not yet. I've literally just got it. We're gonna check it out for our next episode. We're gonna do Game of the Month in a couple of weeks with Looper, and this will be one of the titles that we're talking about.
Amazing. Very excited to hear. I'm not big into Quest games, but I am always very curious to know what's happening over there. I played my Quest 3 a little bit this week in order to play the Obsessive Shadow, which I had fun with. Looking forward to that coming to PSVR2. But I don't play it enough to even bother downloading Madison and checking it out and seeing how good it looks. So I'll just wait to hear your opinion on it.
Sure. Okay.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Another fun WesDay. We've had like 4 WesDays in a row. It's been amazing. But hopefully this will give you a little break. We'll give you an actual week off between this episode and next episode, Wes. As long as Miles decides to fucking show up this time. But guys, thank you everybody out there. We appreciate everyone hanging out, being part of this community. Everyone from Rypop who puts this up on podcast services of your choice. To WesDay, this is Waleed's day to do timestamps. Thank you very much, Waleed. Everyone who supports the channel financially over on patreon.com/withoutparole games, or over here by being a member, or everyone that tips during the show, or hey, everyone that just hangs out and shoots the shit while we shoot the shit. Sounds like a South Park character. And but of course, we know that there's a lot of people out there who don't shoot the shit. They sit back and watch the show and don't say a goddamn word. We know
like
you're out
Wu
there.
Vane.
Like Wu Vane, you motherfucking lurker. And we know you're out there and we love you just as much. Happy Wednesday, Wes.
Happy Wednesday, Brian. Later, cats.
Let's go. Ooh, what a nice thumbnail. Man, somebody put a lot of work into this thumbnail. Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. Okay, what is it? It's Wednesday, so every Wednesday we do we look back and we check out what was happening this week in Without Parole history. So, Wes, we're gonna go for this one. Excuse me, all the way back to I'm scrolling. I'm going to find it, I swear. I'm going to find it. Here it is. We're going to go all the way back to 2020. We're going five years back. The headline of PSVR GamesCast Live was Then VR Adventure, which, dude, I mean, first of all, this was the headline. This was the thumbnail long before this game came out, because it never even came out for PSVR 1. It was a PSVR 2 game.
Wow, that's crazy, because that looks like a screenshot. That doesn't even look like that doesn't look like key art. There's a hand in it right in front of the character.
Yeah, it is just it's a screenshot from probably the Quest version of the game, I'm guessing, or the PC version, right? Because both those versions came out way before the PSVR 2 version. So this was in 2020 that we headlined with this, but let me just double check here. My Then VR Adventure review came out last year, February 26th, 2024. So this was a full four years before the game came to a PlayStation headset. Craziness.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It's in competition. It was in competition with Undead Citadel as being the most delayed game on a PlayStation headset.
Right.
Where the fuck is that game? Where is Undead Citadel? That game was almost out a year ago, 2 years ago. Wow. It's almost
the earliest footage we saw of that game was someone playing it on PSVR 1. Like, it's been almost out for many, many years.
Yeah.
It's like Golem. It's the new Golem.
Magic the Game Cat said Ven's not bad, it's just problematic. Dude, I don't like Ven. I don't like Ven at all, and I take issue with people who do like Ven. We need to have a conversation. We need to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say this about Ven. It was better. The beta version was better. They nerfed a lot of the levels and redesigned. They literally redesigned sections of levels to make them easier, which I did not appreciate. And then on top of that, they shuffled the levels. Like, the order that the levels are in now are not the order that they were originally intended to be in. And I think they were better before. So yeah, I liked Ven. The only thing I didn't like about Ven was that stupid rhythm game boss fight part. Like, that was dumb. But
dude,
the rest
I didn't
of the
like
game,
any of the boss fights. I hated all the boss fights, and and you know me, man. I am somebody who craves boss fights because they've been lacking so sorely in VR games for the last forever, since VR became a thing. And so, like, I look forward, even not so great boss fights, I'm down for, because I'd rather have not so great boss fights than no boss fights. And I despised Ven's boss fights. I thought they were terrible.
I love good games.
So what's the over under on not Ven, Jesus Christ, on Undead Citadel coming to PSVR 2 this year? What do you think?
I think it 100% comes this year. I think it's almost ready. I think we'll have it by summertime for sure.
Nice. Magic the Gamecast says Undead Citadel, the spaghetti incident. I'm going to go further with that and say Undead Citadel, you snooze, you lose, Chinese democracy. Let's go. All right. You ready to get out of here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Good night, everyone. We love you all.
Bye.
Oh, go watch AJ. He's got a No Man's Sky stream incoming. So if you really haven't wasted enough time tonight, you can waste a whole lot more. AJ, don't screw up your save. Don't screw up your inventory.